Now this Sigma 23 F1.4 that we're shooting with right now on the S5, it's a bit of an awkward one, frankly, because let's just get it out there. It is an APS-C lens and my S5 is full frame, so we're shooting crop mode. All the stills are going to be crop mode. I'm going to pretend it's one of my Fujifilm cameras because, as you've already seen in the listing, this will be out for Fujifilm at some point shortly. So let's just get on with it then. As always, we've got instructions and a lineup booklet. Whole thing comes out in one go this time. I'm not as excited to try it on this because I will be having to use it in crop mode on my S5, as I only have full frame L mount and this is designed for APS-C, but you know, we'll see how we get on. I mean, it all feels good. No weather resistance, but apparently the lens mount helps with that. As I've mentioned on the other two videos, that's direct from Sigma, so don't argue. STM motor, closest focusing 25 centimeters, 9 diaphragm blades, 13 elements in 10 groups. No aperture ring, but it does run f1.4 to f16. Big fat manual focusing. Solid plastic hood. We've got a 33.8 degree angle of view, and yeah, magnification ratio 1 to 7.3. Filter size, of course, we should mention that, 52mm, weighs 340 grams. Now of course I'm only going to get a bit of the experience with the S5, but we'll give it a good crack and see how it fares anyway. But build and handling, give or take the lack of aperture ring, yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. It's solid, it's tidy, and probably will live up to that contemporary badge right there. Let's see how we get on then. All things considered, the lens is quite decent, even on my S5 in crop mode. I wasn't put off by the absolute lack of aperture ring, and the manual focus experience is actually pretty good. The lens has a decent weight to it and balances pretty well on my camera. The minimum focus distance of 25 centimeters was very welcome too. Overall, the build quality and the handling with this lens, it's very positive. Here are some test shots taken at Aston Hall in Birmingham in between the typical rain showers. You know, testing in the UK can be pretty challenging at times, but yeah, here we go. Sharpness is very good across the frame. Color rendering is quite good with the sensor of my S5. Contrast also pretty good. Now spherical aberration seems to be fairly well controlled and field curvature isn't a huge problem. So here are some more test shots around the gardens of Aston Hall, and the beady-eyed amongst you will have seen the art installation before somewhere else. Chromatic aberration was non-existent in my testing. Distortion is present, but it's not a big problem. And vignetting is minimal, wide open. Now ghosting and flaring, not an issue. Not that the weather's really helped me test that out, but I'm not into shining lights and stuff at the lenses for that. It does the job perfectly well. Bokeh isn't bad at all, but you know, you can judge for yourself, as you can with most of the points that I'm making. That's the whole point of the very simple test shots. I mean, maybe the bokeh is a bit messy in some scenes. You let me know what you think. When it comes to image quality, we need to hear your thoughts when you've used this lens. Anyway, final tests around Aston Park now before we talk about whether it's worth it or not. The lens will retail at £449.99 and will be available from the 21st of this month. So is it worth it? Well, obviously for a full frame L-mount shooter, not necessarily, but if you've got an APS-C L-mount camera, then yeah, I think it's well worth considering. Clearly some lenses are on certain mounts as simple port overs while hitting bigger markets, and that's okay. I've got an eye on how the Fujifilm model should perform, and having spent time in APS-C mode on my S5, I think it's going to be an interesting option, maybe sitting somewhere between the old 23mm 1.4 and the superb new XF 23mm. At the time of recording this, Sigma tell me that it is in the works, but will be released later this summer, so keep an eye on the channel for that. Anyway, what do you reckon? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Or actually, go check out the other 2 Sigma release day videos I've put out if you haven't. Yeah.